like to give you a warm welcome to the statutory meeting of Dundee City Council. I'm sure most of you know you, but I'm Greg Colgan. I'm Chief Executive of the Council, and it will be my privilege to chair this meeting until appointments are made later on during the agenda. So if I could first pass to Roger Mennie to give an explanation of the remote meetings procedures. So Roger.
Thank you. Welcome to this meeting of Dundee City Council, which is being held remotely in terms of Section 43 of the Local Governance Scotland Act 2003. All members in attendance are able to fully participate in the meeting, which is being recorded. Should any member need to leave the meeting for any reason, can they please use the chat to advise of this? If a member loses their connection, they should make every effort to rejoin the meeting. If this is not possible, the Committee Services Officer will note their absence for the remainder of the meeting. If you have to leave the meeting due to a declaration of interest, you must remain out of the meeting until invited back in. Would all members please mute their microphones when not speaking to avoid background noise and turn off any smart speakers. Please start the meeting with your camera on. Your face will appear on the screen when you are speaking. If your connection is poor, you may wish to turn off your camera and see if this improves matters. If this doesn't help, you may wish to quickly leave the meeting and rejoin. If you wish to raise a point of order, ask a question, speak on any item or move a motion or amendment, please use the chat when the relevant item is called. The convener will then invite me to speak. Would members of the press and public please not post messages in the chat. Where items are for noting or where there has been no disagreement expressed, the convener will call for any member who has a contrary view to indicate this through the chat, otherwise the item will be agreed. Please would members not use the chat for any other purposes, as those joining the meeting by telephone cannot see the chat and therefore will not be able to follow the debate. Although we are operating in a different way, this is still a formal meeting of the Council, and the required standards of behaviour and discussion are the same as in a face-to-face meeting. Standing orders will apply to the proceedings, and the terms of the Councillors' Code of Conduct will also apply in the normal way. Does any member have any queries regarding this procedure? There are no queries, so I will now ask Mr. Waddle to take a roll call for the minute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If members can confirm that they're present when I call their name. Councillor Alexander.
I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
Present.
Councillor Campbell.
Present.
Councillor Cadell.
Present.
Councillor Dawson.
I'm here.
Councillor Ilnakla.
Here.
Councillor Flynn.
Present.
Councillor Hunter.
Present.
Councillor Lynn.
I'm here.
Councillor Roberts.
Good evening, I'm here.
Councillor Rowe.
Good evening. Present.
Councillor Soares.
Yes, I'm here.
Councillor Short.
Here.
Councillor Smith.
I'm here.
Councillor Toland.
Yeah, here.
Councillor Keenan.
Present.
Councillor Cruikshank.
Present.
Councillor Finnegan.
Here.
Councillor McHugh.
Present.
Councillor McKirban.
Present.
Councillor Malone.
I'm here.
Councillor Scullin.
Present.
Councillor Shears.
Present.
Councillor Wright.
Present.
Councillor McPherson.
Good evening. Present.
Councillor Coleman.
Present.
Councillor Creighton.
Present.
Councillor Duncan.
Here.
Councillor Scott.
Here.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call.
Thank you. So I would now like to ask Mr. Mennie to take us through the agenda items for the meeting. Roger.
Thank you. Members of the Council, item 2 is the declaration of poll for information and record purposes. Item 3, appointments. The The Council's instructions are requested. Would members please note that in terms of Standing Order 8 paragraph 3 and 33 paragraph 2, these must be moved as a single block nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. I could see that Bailey Sawyers has a question on item 2. So if I can just take that question first, and then Roger will move back to item 3. So Bailey Sawyers.
Yeah, thanks very much, Greg. I'm sure everyone who was at the count a couple of weeks ago probably shares my frustration about the number of votes that had to be deemed invalid. Over 1,000 in total by people who in good faith went out to polling stations or returned their postal vote and used the official description, the first preference opposite the name of more than one candidate, or in to summarise, 2 crosses on a ballot paper. There were 998 of these. I wonder if going forward in your role as returning officer, you could look to work with partners such as the Electoral Commission to try really to increase the publicity around the voting system, because it's deeply disappointing that 1,000 people in Dundee went out to vote and their votes were deemed invalid.
Thank you, Bailey Sawyers. There will be various methods for which myself as returning officer can provide feedback on the point you're making, and I'm happy to do so at any opportunity that's available. I'll then move on to Bailey McPherson.
Thanks very much, Mr. Colgan. Could I just concur with the point that Bailey Sawyers has actually made there, that it was really deeply disappointing that people have effectively lost their vote. What struck me as very telling were the number of double crosses. And it was all parties, to be frank, it was all parties. And I really do think a real publicity campaign reiterating, you wouldn't think 15 years down the line of single transferable vote would have to do that, but we do. And I think, you know, it is a minority, but it's a significant minority. And really getting across the 1-2 preference and not repeating the number and not using a cross at this particular election, I think it's a very a good point made by Bailey Sawyers, and I'm grateful to Mr. Colgan for his response.
Thanks, Bailey McPherson. So, Roger, if I can just pass back to you then for item 3.
Thank you. Councillor Alexander wishes to speak, Mr. Colgan.
Councillor Alexander.
Thank you very much. Just to intimate and ask for the motion in my name to be circulated to all elected members, move the names as detailed within that, and all other nominations will be intimated to committee services thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alexander. And do you have a seconder?
Yes, Mr. Colgan, I'll second Councillor Alexander.
Okay, thank you, Bailey Sawyers. And if I can just ask committee services to circulate the motion. Just coming next for Councillor McIrvine for the Labour group nominations.
Thanks, Chair. I would like to formally move the Labour group's appointments to outside bodies.
Thanks, Councillor McIrvine. And did you have a seconder?
I'll second.
Yes, I formally second the Labour group's nominations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cruikshank. And then the Liberal Democrats. So if I can ask for Councillor Coleman.
Yes, thank you, Chief Executive. Can I please propose that the nominations for the Liberal Democrat group and can be circulated to other members of the council please be moved?
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. And do you have a seconder?
I will formally second.
Thank you, Councillor Crichton. Okay. Mr. Many, if I can just pass back to yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Colgan. Can I confirm that all members have received an email containing the nominations from the SNP group, the Labour group and the Liberal Democrat group? Thank you. The sole nominee for the office of Lord Provost of the City of Dundee is Councillor Bill Campbell. Councillor Campbell, can I please ask you to come forward? Can I ask you to read aloud and then sign the oath de fideli administratione. Thank you.
I, I, Bill Campbell, hereby declare that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Lord Provost of the Dundee City Council, to which I have been elected.
Nominee for the office of Deputy Lord Provost is Councillor Kevin Cordell. Councillor Cordell, please ask you to read aloud the oath de fideli administratione, and then can I please ask you to sign it.
I, Kevin Malcolm Cordell, hereby declare that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Deputy Lord Provost of Dundee City Council, to which I have been elected.
Thank you very much. I would just like to say a few words. I promise you'll be home in time for the playoff if you're watching it this evening. I would just like to say that it is indeed a great honour to be the Lord Provost of the City of Dundee, and I intend to carry out the duties of this office with a positive approach. I hope that the Deputy Lord Provost and myself can use the powers of these offices to be not only reactive to requests, but to be proactive for the benefit of the city. On a personal basis, I'd like to thank my family, my friends, and my colleagues for their kind support. I also want to thank all those who have sent me messages of support over the last couple of days, and I can now, following this meeting, finally respond to them as Lord Provost. So I think I'm going to be up late this evening. Thank you very much again. And I would like to hand back to Roger for item 4.
Thank you, Lord Provost. Item 4, appointment of bailies. It is proposed that in accordance with length of service, the following be appointed to assist the Lord Provost in civic duties and civic events. Councillor Wright, 42 years service. Councillor Scott, 32 years service. Councillor Soares, 30 years service. Councillor Keenan, 21 years service. Councillor McPherson, 21 years service. Councillor Roberts, 19 years service. Councillor Dawson, 19 years service.
Are there any questions? Is this agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Roger.
Item 5, church, religious, teacher, parent, pupil representatives on the Children and Family Services Committee for Education Matters only. It is proposed that it be remitted to the Head of Democratic Legal Services to make the necessary arrangements to seek nominations for the appointments in the usual way, and that the previous church, religious, teacher representatives continue in their present capacity for a period of up to 6 months to allow arrangements to be made for representatives to be appointed to the committee.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is this agreed?
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you. Roger.
Item 6, Education Appeal Committee, exclusions from school and placing requests for schools. In order to allow continuity for appeal hearings, especially during the period of May and June, when primary one and secondary one placing appeals are heard, it is recommended that Paul Clancy be appointed as a chairperson and Charlotte McCrimmon, Susan Walker and Elaine Carolan be reappointed, along with the convener of Children and Family Services or their nominee, and that the appeal committee comprises the convener of Children and Family Services or their nominee, together with an independent chairperson and one parent representative.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is this matter agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Roger.
Item 7, membership of standing committees, licensing board, local review body and ad hoc subcommittees. The nominations are as previously circulated and as will be intimated to the clerk in due course.
Thank you. Are these nominations agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Good.
Item 8, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, Licensing Liaison Forum membership. The Council is asked to approve the under-noted membership and remit to the Forum to appoint or co-opt further members as necessary.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this matter? Disagreed?
Agreed.
Good, thank you. Roger.
Item 9, Standing Orders and Schemes of Administration for Financial Regulations, Tender Procedures and Delegation of Powers to Officers. The Council is asked to note that the Head of Democratic and Legal Services is currently reviewing standing orders and schemes of administration for financial regulations, tender procedures and delegation of powers to officers in consultation with the Chief Executive and Executive Directors, and that a further report will be brought forward in due course. In the meantime, it is recommended that the City Council agree to approve and adopt the current standing orders and schemes of administration for financial regulations, tender procedures and delegation of powers to officers.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is this agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Roger.
Item 10, member salaries, pensions and expenses. You have a report before you.
Are there any questions? Is this matter agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you again. Roger.
That concludes the business of the City Council. Provost.
Thank you, Roger. And that is the meeting closed. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Phil.
Good night.
Good night.
Congratulations, Phil.